Hello, you're watching World News on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. The European Commission released a statement signed by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and other European leaders calling for increased economic pressure on Russia. In the statement, the leaders announced that they are working on utilizing frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine. They also thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for his efforts to stop the war.
Therefore, we are clear that Ukraine must be in the strongest possible position before, during, and after any ceasefire. We must ramp up the pressure on Russia's economy and its defense industry until Putin is ready to make peace. We are developing measures to use the full value of Russia's immobilized sovereign assets so that Ukraine has the resources it needs.
News that the proposed Budapest summit between Presidents Trump and Putin may be delayed is not surprising. Milan Lelich, political analyst at RBC Ukraine, told TVP World. Lelich said Russia's continued refusal to scale back its maximalist demands was a major barrier to peace talks over Moscow's war in Ukraine.
I don't think that this Budapest summit between President Trump and Putin, that it is even imminent, and that it will happen as soon as next week, as was the initial deadline set by President Trump. I think that anyway, it's going to take way more time, more calls, more summits, more consultation, more everything, because despite all this optimism on cameras that President Trump is often showing, we don't see any real concessions from the Russian side. According to different sources and mine sources as well, basically the Russian position that they told their American counterparts and later they forwarded to our delegation is that Russia pretty much sticks to the points that Russia issued this summer. So they want all the Donbass, and they are not willing to give up any chunk of territory they control. So where is the progress? Surely this is just a non-starter for our side. So all in all, I think it's going to take any major steps forward, it's going to take a lot more time. A lot.
Cities across Ukraine were targeted by Russian air attacks overnight, which wounded several people and damaged energy infrastructure. Officials in Kharkiv reported that guided aerial bombs damaged at least 15 homes, according to the Kiev Post. Authorities say 9 people were wounded in the overnight strikes. In Chernihiv, in northern Ukraine, much of the city was left without power or water after Russian drones hit key supply facilities. Local media also report that parts of the Kiev region suffered power blackouts in the wake of Russian missile and drone attacks on Monday evening. In Hungary, emergency responders are dealing with the aftermath of a fire and explosion at a strategically important oil refinery. The Danube refinery processes oil from the Russian Druzhba 2 pipeline, a key link in Budapest's ongoing close economic relations with Moscow. We go live now to Budapest with our correspondent, Andrew Sweeney. Hi there, Andrew. So tell us what happened here with last night's explosion.
Well, the explosion took place in the locality Százalombata. It's about a 30-minute drive to the southwest of Budapest. The explosion was so strong that residents of the city's southern suburbs some of them were actually woken up. The fire's now out. There are no reports of any injuries. And the investigation is now ongoing as to how this happened. The Danube refinery is the primary oil refinery in Hungary, and it processes oil taken from the Druzhba 2 pipeline, as you mentioned. This is a very controversial issue geopolitically, as it's how Hungary receives its oil from Russia, thus filling the coffers of the Kremlin in its war against Ukraine. The refinery is also due to be connected to a new pipeline. This one will run from the oil refinery that exploded last night to Serbia. The Hungarian Foreign Minister, Péter Szijjártó, recently described his country's energy policy as physics, not politics. But of course, after last night's explosion, there will almost certainly be a political dimension to this incident. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has reported that Hungary's oil supplies are full and an investigation into the cause has been launched. For TVP World, Andrew Sweeney.
Thank you. That was Andrew Sweeney there from Budapest. Thanks for giving us that update. I'm sure we'll be checking in on the latest developments there. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced on Tuesday that Polish security services detained 8 people suspected of preparing acts of sabotage. Additionally, Tusk wrote on his social media that the case is still open and the investigation ongoing without providing further details. According to Polish Special Services Coordinator Tomasz Siemoniak, the detainees carried out reconnaissance of military facilities and laid the groundwork for acts of sabotage.
The Internal Security Agency, in cooperation with other security services, detained 8 people in various parts of the country in recent days, suspected of preparing acts of sabotage. The case is ongoing. Further investigative efforts are continuing.
According to Jacek Dobrzyński, spokesman for the coordinator of special services, over the past few months, ABW officers have detained more than 50 people recruited by Russia's intelligence services. Dobrzyński told a press conference on Tuesday, in recent months, Internal Security Agency officers have detained a total of 55 people who acted to the detriment of Poland, acting on behalf of Russian intelligence. The Slovakian criminal court found Juraj Cintula guilty of a terrorist attack on Prime Minister Robert Fico. The man shot at the leader in May of 2024 during a meeting with voters in Handlova, Slovakia. Juraj Cintula was sentenced to 21 years in prison. The ruling is not final, and both the defense and the prosecution can appeal the verdict. Cintula remains in pre-trial detention for now. The retiree attacked Prime Minister Robert Fico during a government meeting in Handlova. He mingled with a crowd of Fico supporters in the square and fired 5 shots at the leader. After his arrest, Cintula said he disagreed with the current government's policy. After the attack, Prime Minister Fico was transported by helicopter to a hospital in Bańska Bystrica, where he underwent several surgeries. He returned to work after nearly 2 months. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has entered prison to begin serving his 5-year sentence. Sarkozy was found guilty of criminal conspiracy to use foreign funds to finance his past presidential campaign. He's the first former head of an EU country to serve time in prison and the first French post-war leader to be jailed.
He's been accused of basically using foreign money. In this case, money coming from the regime of Gaddafi from Libya in order to fund basically the presidential and legislative campaign that eventually made of Nicolas Sarkozy the president of France. Actually, what we can hear in the media, but also in the public, each time this affair happens, is that we don't want to have impunity. We would like that people who are condemned actually go to jail. And this is probably also what the judge had in mind when he decided that actually Mr. Sarkozy, even if he's appealing, will have to do his jail time. Now it's still possible, considering the age of Mr. Sarkozy, that in 2 months the judge pronounced an exit of the prison while waiting for the definitive trial for the appeal.
European Commission decided to fine Google nearly €3 billion for abusing its dominant position in the digital advertising market. The decision was hailed by a Polish member of the European Parliament, Joanna Scheuring-Wielgus, who said yesterday that it shows that everyone is equal in the eyes of European law. At the same time, the Polish MEP noted that the fine seems hefty, but in fact is just a fraction of Google's annual earnings.
€3 billion as a fine on Google is a very important step, but we shouldn't be under any illusions. This is a company that earns hundreds of billions a year, and this is just a small amount. It's not a real penalty. For many, many years, Google has been favoring its own advertising services and has not played fairly. So we are very satisfied with the Commission's decision because it's a very clear signal that the Commission is finally enforcing its own laws. So it's a very good step. There shouldn't be any players in Europe that are more equal than others. Everybody should be equal before the law in Europe.
American pianist Eric Liu has won the top prize at the prestigious International Chopin Piano Competition in Poland. After his victory was announced late on Monday, the American musician told reporters that for him it is a dream come true and thanked all the Chopin enthusiasts in the Polish capital and around the globe.
First award and the gold medal goes to Eric Lu.
11 contestants from 7 countries competed for the top honours in the 19th International Friedrich Chopin Piano Competition in Warsaw. In the end, American pianist Eric Lu won the top prize at the prestigious event, which held its final round on Monday night.
I'm so grateful for this honor. I'm grateful for all the Chopin lovers around the world who watched online and all the audience here in Warsaw. I'm grateful for the jury to bestow me this honor. And yeah, this is a dream come true, of course.
Eric Lu won €60,000 and a gold medal. Canada's Kevin Chen took second place, while Poland's Piotr Aleksevich came in fifth. The next International Friedrich Chopin Piano Competition will be held in 2030.
And that's all for this World News Update, but stay tuned right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.